What happened? You got a bug?
You know it.
Oh gosh. So we're live. We're live, I think. Is this live?
Oh, yes. Yes, it says yes, we're live. So,
Okay.
Dr. Theon,
Good morning. Good morning, Dr.
how
Money
are
over there in all the way over in another place in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. How's it going over there?
Oh my goodness, it's going wonderful as long as no more bugs come over here and try to attack
I
me.
know you and your bugs. That's your nemesis. It's like you're gonna have to get over it. You're gonna have to embrace
It's
them
like the second
and
that I'm
love
doing
them.
things, yeah, okay, I love them out of my universe. I know they need to contribute and they do important things, but just do them not around me.
No, they do important things. You have to embrace them. Just be like, okay,
Yeah,
little bug, it's time for you to go away now, and it'll go away.
yep,
But I'm so excited.
exactly.
I'm excited to be here with you this morning for us to start our money mindset talking.
Absolutely. That's so outstanding. And it's so perfect, really, for so many reasons. One, because we both have been working on things, and then just even how we had the opportunity to come in, which we'll tell them all about shortly. But I guess,
Yeah,
before we jump in on that, maybe we should roll the camera back a bit and give them an introduction just so that they have an idea of who we really are. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
so why don't you go
Do you?
ahead and jump in and I'll let you lead the way?
Oh, okay, perfect, perfect. So I'm Dr. Theon, known as the Story Genius, the Story Accelerator. I accelerate your stories and take you into purpose-driven activities, be that business or personal. I'm a personal coach. I'm a business coach and love working with people in developing their story of success for their business. And I've been doing this now for over 10 years on my own, doing this consulting and coaching business, working with huge corporations and healthcare organizations like Kaiser Permanente, all the way to individual people that I get to meet every single day. My prior experience was in the nonprofit world, and all of those who are on my page at Beyond Story, you know the story. I get you moving and accelerated in the stories of life that you do. Had an opportunity to meet Dr. Money, Dr. Ardrey, some years back, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But that's me. That's me for those who don't know me.
Yes, and they're
Go
so
for it,
lucky.
Dr. Money.
Everyone that's listening, you're so lucky. It's going to be such a blessing because you'll see why stories are so important. It's important in everything that you do. And so being able to have that guidance on telling a succinct story that's captivating is so important. So I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money. I have been an entrepreneur, I really can say, most of my life. I've certainly had an opportunity to have corporate exposure. My first big business was in advertising. Then I moved into real estate development. And over the last few years, I've been focusing on venture capital. So I finally launched Dr. Money Live so that I can work more directly with the entrepreneurs. I mean, I've been training entrepreneurs for over 30 years. And typically, my objective is to help you build a sustainable business. So I'm really about taking this, and I am a business expander. So I focus on capital, capacity, and customers. And really, I want entrepreneurs to understand how to use their business, real estate, and insurance to create generational wealth. So that's my big thing. Is I know that sometimes, you may have a gig here, you may have a hustle there. I've always been about building something sustainable. And so when I did my first big JV, it gave me 400 employees, 8 offices. That's kind of where I like to play. So now I challenge so many entrepreneurs. The Innovation Venture Labs is another business that I own, and it was meant to accelerate companies. So with International Venture Labs, Innovation Venture Labs, my objective was to take 500 companies to their first 5 million in revenues within 3 to 5 years. And so I'm still working with that model, but expanding it now to say, hey, I want to help more entrepreneurs, especially in a time like this. So you need to have all of those pieces together. And what better team to come together and bring you the elements? Because you can't pitch your business if you don't know how to tell the story. And so you definitely
Absolutely.
need that. And then, with our focus on money and mindset, you need both. So with that, let's jump right into the conversation today.
Yeah, yeah. So we're in two different places now, but we were together for the past 2 months in Jamaica. And Stephanie and I came together uh, from doing business together. So we pretty much started meeting as friends. When we first met, it was just a instant, hey, I like this person, and we just stayed in touch with each other. We had an opportunity to go travel places together in the United States, like Vegas and Palm Springs. I think that's where we may have even first met. I can't quite remember. Our friend Dr. Nina
Yeah.
Kraft, I think, introduced us.
Yes, Palm Springs, that was it.
And so over the years, as our friendship developed, we started learning about each other's business and started referring people to each other. And just we're like, wow, we should probably do some things together too. Recently, everybody knows COVID hit and our double pandemic, Black Lives Matter, bringing out and really emphasizing the systemic racism that has happened in this country. And so we became a little more isolated. But the other thing that happened was the government kind of opened up this stimulus package to keep businesses moving forward. I happen to be helping people to work with their stimulus package, with the PPP, with the grants that the government was giving out, and helping people find those. Because what I found was in our community in particular, I'm talking about the Black community, Black and Brown community, people didn't know how to access it, and they didn't know that it was actually for them. And I think Stephanie started working on the same thing as I gave her a call. And Stephanie, you can tell a little bit about your experience with the PPP and how people were not prepared for that.
Yeah, you bring up a valid point. So my company, Blue Diamond Capital, I help companies. It's a commercial brokerage firm. And so I do commercial finance, commercial real estate transactions, and business brokerage. So I have been working with a number of companies anyway around their needs for commercial finance. And when the PPP program hit, it really validated a number of messages that I had been sharing. I had been on people about, listen, you need to have your business structured properly. You need to have everything set up properly. You need to understand about corporate credit, because that's another tool that I don't see entrepreneurs taking advantage of. So that had started to become a little bit of a mantra, get with me so I can get you set up and start building your corporate credit. And then at the same time, when PPP hit, working with my business bankers, I'm in a network with bankers. So I tell people, how many people go to lunch once a month and you're probably around the table with a good 30, 50 different bankers, and you're currently talking about what programs are available and so on and so forth. And I said, so really, when you want to find capital for your business, start with a conversation with me first, because I can pretty much tell you where you need to go based on your needs. And so it turned out that two things intersected: the PPP, the idle financing, and then especially so many businesses banking with retail banks, not understanding the distinction of having a business banking relationship. And so that ended up being where you and I really, connected and saying, well, I can help more people. And I'm really, I get nothing from the bank, but I need them to have a business banking relationship, because if I can have them have a business banking relationship, this bank is going to look at them and be more interested in seeing them actually succeed with getting their PPP funding. And so that was really what kind of started. We jumped in and oh my goodness.
We jumped right in. We jumped right into that. And I think just backtracking a little bit, it's almost like things were set to happen. And we'll talk about that a little bit more with mindset, because when you put that idea, that thought out into the world, things start to come to you. And part of this oops, Dr. Money, you disappeared. Where are you? It looks like Dr. Money lost her connection, but I'm going to just keep going with saying, when you put your ideas out into the world and start really believing in them, changing your mindset around what it is that you want to do. Putting that inkling of information out into the world, things start to happen for you. Oh, here we go. Dr. Money is back. Great. So when you put it out
So I'm
there,
in Jamaica, so we know what the internet is like here.
yes,
So
yes, yes. So things will start to happen for you. And what I was going to mention is one of the things we had done prior, I was in charge of teaching a business boot camp. And I wanted to bring in some different speakers. So who better to bring in than Dr. Money, my friend Dr. Money? And I wanted her to talk with people who were developing their businesses. These were new business owners, about how to build that foundation. What does that structure look like? And Dr. Money came in and she talked about, number one, setting your business up the right way. What type of entity do you have to have? Number two, establishing those relationships. Who is your bank? And then, of course, she talked about the corporate credit and some other things. But talking about the idea of having a banker that you could go to and talk to and understand, who understands your story. So going back to the mindset, I believe just from us doing that course together, from me inviting her to teach that class, that boot camp, to teach a piece of that boot camp, was the start of changing our mindset. Like, oh, we should be teaching this type of thing. And all of a sudden, COVID happens, the stimulus happens, the EIDL, the PPP, and it's sort of like, oh my gosh, this is what we just told people to do. Prepare yourself. And now
right,
it's here. You should be
here.
ready. But people
Yeah.
really still weren't ready. And I think that was my frustration reaching out to Dr. Money. I was just like, oh my God, they're not ready. And we told them to be ready. And I was like, what do we do?
But you were so perfect because of your patience and ability to work. I mean, I think that us joining together definitely allowed us to assist more people. It expanded the play
Yes.
because some people, they needed some extra help. And because you had the capacity to spend that time, then of course it allowed me to not have to do some of that stuff that you were doing. And it was just a perfect match, which I think is so great because you're right. Some of the things that we probably didn't even realize were bringing us to this moment when we think back, which is interesting because of course we've been teasing about this kind of mindset and setting those intentions, and even sometimes not even recognizing. You know, I was on the fence feeling like I'm telling people about this corporate credit. I'm telling them because my premise was this. When I created my advertising agency, advertising, it seems like I like to be in these businesses that are capital intensive. Don't ask me why. But advertising is a type of business that if you're going after major accounts, you need a big budget because you have to be able to do the work, pay your staff, and maybe wait as much as 6 months before you're paid. So imagine that. I have to meet payroll twice a month. And the work that we're doing for the client may not come in. So where are you going to come up with all that money? And so I had to be very creative in terms of how I leverage every dollar. I had to make every dollar do 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. And so I was like, well, wait a second. And then I had to understand how you're billing. You know, what I understood that was different than what some of the smaller business was doing. I'm like, no. These guys are charging back to their clients everything. Cost of their office space, cost of storage. And I'm like, we're cheating ourselves if we're not claiming all of those operational expenses, and that's not factored into our fees. So, you know, that kind of triggered the bigger understanding. And then, of course, then I jump into real estate development. You know, is that from the frying pan to the fire? In terms of, now you really need a whole bunch of money at a time up front with a project that may take, you know, actual development projects usually are, you know, 5, 10, 20-year projects. So I need you to give me $200 million now. And you need to trust that over a course of the next 5 to 7 years, something's going to really manifest. So
Absolutely.
Then bringing that back down to
that trust part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that mindset part. You had to have the mindset that I am going to help create businesses just like me. I'm going to help businesses tell their story so that they can grow and accelerate and get to that next level. And so coming together, a little fast forward, the COVID happens. Black Lives Matter movement. We're working on everybody's businesses, making sure they get relationships with bankers if they don't have relationships with bankers, which we'll get into that as we go through this whole process in terms of how to establish that. But then we're at the finish line of the PPP. We got to get this in. We got to get that in. And we're working on different people's applications, trying to make sure they're in and that they're funded. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't take another day of doing this and everything else that's going on in the country, because the elections and just every day it seemed like something new was happening. People dying and just all sorts of things were happening. And so I said, I'm going to take a break, and decided one of my former tenants and mentees, a young lady that I just love and admire, she was actually leaving to go to Jamaica to help to manage some properties. And I said, you're going to Jamaica? Well, I want to go. Do you have any room in your luggage? And she said, well, I'll see if I could get you maybe one of the properties if you're serious. And I said, oh, I am serious. You know, I will hop on a plane in a second. That's the other part about me. If you don't know me, I will hop on a plane in a second, COVID or not. I will protect myself. I'll put on my mask, but I will hop on a plane. And so she was able to facilitate me getting this 2-bedroom, 2-bath little apartment in Montego Bay, Freeport. I was like, sounds good to me. I'm going. And I'm going to go for my whole birthday month, the month of September. So I actually ended up leaving in August to go to New York and New Jersey because of my sister. My sister lives there and I wanted to see her, and then decided I would fly from there. So on my way to leave, I decided to call my friend Stephanie to say, all these PPPs that you're working on and the things we're working on together, I hope they're all done because I'm getting out of here. And Stephanie was like, you're going somewhere. Stephanie, Stephanie was like, can I go? Do you have room?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I said, sure. So she was ready for something too. So Stephanie, you actually were preparing to go somewhere, right?
Actually, yeah. So I had made plans to go to New York for sure. And we were on the fence about what we were going to do from New York. We were talking about drive to the Carolinas, the Hamptons, doing some other things. And then we were really contemplating to Bermuda. And so the front of the trip, I had my son Sterling traveling with me. And so what we decided was we were definitely going to go to New York for about a month or 3 weeks, it turned out, because once we planned the trip to Jamaica, I was able to kind of book in New York so that I could get Jamaica. And it really worked out wonderful because I've been traveling back and forth to Jamaica for years. And I always tell people, I feel like I'm honorary. I love the island. And every time I come, it's for spiritual healing. And so for me, I didn't know about Bermuda. I haven't been there, but when you put on the table Jamaica, I'm like, I know about Jamaica. I feel very comfortable here. I was on, a task force for 3 years coming back and forth, in 2017. So I'm like, Jamaica's a yes. No brainer. Let's do it. I'm in. Let's happen. And so it's just amazing how the stars aligned, and even just with being in law school and having us on 100% remote, because normally we have residency on campus in Ventura. And so that had been part of, the hurdle that I would have to overcome to be able to go anyplace. So once you said it, I'm like, I'm so in so fast.
And so we took the journey together. We decided we were going to do it. She was in New York. I was headed to New York. So again, just putting things out in the universe of what you want and how the stars align is so important. So we get to New York, and I wasn't paying that much attention. I travel all the time. I'm like, we can go. I know it's COVID, but hey, Jamaica's open, so we can go. Well, then I started reading a little more, found out that we had to have a travel authorization to go, and that we had to have a COVID test within 5 days. So we lost Dr. Stephanie again, but she'll be back. Dr. Money will be back. So we had to have this COVID test within the 5 days. So I told Stephanie, go get your COVID test while we're here in New York. We should be able to get it. We got our test, which I was like, okay, as long as we have the test, we should be okay. We signed up for the travel authorization, but didn't hear anything back. And when I didn't hear anything back, I started asking people, am I going to really need this travel authorization to travel? And people were like, oh, you're probably not going to need it. Don't worry about that travel authorization. You already had the COVID test. You'll be fine. Everything will be fine. You know, Delta Airlines isn't going to give up any money right now. That people were telling me not to worry about it. But my gut, the night before it was time for us to leave, my gut was like, I think we're going to need that travel authorization. And I really don't know what to do because they haven't responded back. So I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm trying to reach the authorities in Jamaica. No luck. And I said to Dr. Money, I think we need this travel authorization, but I guess we'll just try to wing it. It didn't set well with me. I really was listening to my gut, and we'll talk about that in terms of mindset and money as well. But listening to my gut, I had a few weeks earlier reconnected with another friend who was from Jamaica, who was very connected in Jamaica. And she had asked me to do some work with her, which I was kind of tired. I kind of didn't want to do the work, but I agreed to do it. Something told me I should do it. And so, in doing that and being obedient in doing that work, I was able to just make that call to her without feeling guilty about making the call. And she said, oh, yes, you're going to need that travel authorization. She made a call to the Minister of Tourism or whatever connection she had. And I got the travel authorization at like 1 or 2 in the morning. I had to wake Stephanie up, who already was, trying to rest because she had to drive to pick me up in New Jersey so that we could go to New York. So I'm calling her in the middle of the night, like, no, you need to check your email because we got to get this travel authorization. So needless to say, we got the travel authorization. She made it to New Jersey. I don't know how she made it because Stephanie has some big luggage. Talk about your luggage.
Oh my gosh. I thought I was being punked trying to get that luggage down the stairs from the pit house and in the van so we could get to the airport. It was like, who's watching me? Whose camera am I on? They have to be rolling because I almost went down a flight of stairs with that bag. It was so heavy and so big. Yeah.
But she got us. Yeah. She got me. And we made it to the airport and we saw people getting turned away who didn't have their travel authorization. So again, having the wherewithal to push through that and make it happen. And we did it. We were able to do it. We got on the plane. We got to Montego Bay, Jamaica, and just had a fantastic time just from the moment we arrived because people were friendly. They took us right through and we got to get there and be happy.
And so that's,
and now I think it's, yeah, I think it's Stephanie's happy place now because I'm back in the States. But
and looks like I will be, soon we'll announce, I'll tell about 420 Wellness Jamaica, what that's all about, and my new partner in crime on that particular venture, because that's an exciting evolution that continues to evolve daily. But what we want everyone to know is Dr. Theon, Dr. Story, and Dr. Money, we're going to come together for the next 30 days, 30 minutes, same time, same place. And we're going to be focusing on money and mindset. And we're going to make the correlation to how those things come together and connect and really how they infuse everything. Because she's speaking to how her gut, and she listened to her gut. And I don't know how many times you get an urge to do something. Your gut is telling you to do something, and your mind is telling you to do something differently. And when I find I've become better obedient to that feeling and stop questioning it, the thing that was supposed to happen happens. And so everything about this journey was about really being obedient. Not asking 20 questions, but asking the questions that you needed to at the moment. And then stepping out on faith. And that's so important because I hear a lot of people referring to their faith. And they talk about their faith. But it seems like they have a disconnect between faith and works or actions. Because faith is believing in things as if they are when you see no evidence. And if you've got to see the evidence, then guess what? That doesn't require faith. If it's sitting right here in front of me, I don't need faith. It's right there. It's when it's in your mind. And then it's being willing to trust that your ancestors, your guiding source is guiding you and is going to guide you appropriately. And that was even what we talked about when you said, okay, I got to go back because I'm planning a whole nother trip. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but I need to stay. My spirit is telling me it's not time yet for me to go. But, even Sterling said, so how Dr. Theon going, you guys get to Jamaica? There's the saying, you leave the party with the dancer that brought you, right? So it's like, leave, and you talk about you still there and you to move to another hotel. He was like, mommy, what's up with that? And I'm like, no. We both had this conversation, and there's some other, business colleagues who are coming to join me. So it was just a little gap in terms of when they arrive. And so I was like, I can do this. We were comfortable. I said, but you better know Dr. Theon went and checked out the new hotel. They were like, Dr. Theon,
I was walking through.
It's like,
what's back here? Where did you put her?
Making sure. I said, trust and believe, Sterling. Your auntie made sure that mommy is good. They were like, we here, so don't even get it twisted. She's got backup.
Yeah, and I tried to act like our driver was going to be coming back and everything. I'm like, so Marlon, you'll be back. That like we just knew him, and anybody who was listening in earshot, we got somebody that's with us, right? We're going to be back.
And then it's even so funny because I'm at one of the favorite restaurants that we would go for coffee and breakfast. And we've made everywhere we went, we made such an impression because when we were Freeport, we made friends at the Starbucks. And it was so funny. One of the last days that I ran into Starbucks, I hadn't even said anything, but literally I walked in and the cashier, she goes, hey, Dr. Money, you want your usual? And I was like, oh my God.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did. They were just like, hey. And then giving me you still want cappuccino cold foam? I'm like, no, I hadn't thought about it, but I guess that's exactly what I'm going to order.
Exactly. So
it was an amazing trip. And the other part about leaving Dr. Money there was helping her to get the mindset that the bugs were not going to like totally just take over her life, because she has an issue with bugs and any type of creature. It was the crab who was walking across the street that she almost got hit because she was running from a little crab. Trust me. I have stories. And you probably
have video too.
And video. I have stories and video. But she's safe there. And we're going to be bringing you some money mindset principles to help you get moving. One of them that Dr. Money talked about this morning is having faith and going out on gut. I'm going to talk with you guys about the 3 H's, which I left her with before leaving. That head that we usually are thinking with, that heart, and that hunger. The hunger is the gut. That's in your belly. That's what you're really feeling. That hunger is what I felt about that travel authorization. I was sort of like, I better keep on. Something doesn't feel right. That hunger pushed me through the night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, to make sure that I got that travel authorization. You got to be able to feel that. And that's what we're going to talk about with the mindset and the money talk. And you don't always have to have all the money. So that's not what this is about. And Dr. Money will tell you about that too. It's not just about you have money. It's about how do you make money, and what does money look like to you? What's the value of money?
Absolutely. And that's even leading into kind of some of the things that, I've thrown in a meeting, which we'll talk about later. And it's like, you come in as a tag along, not even expecting to be part of the meeting, and the meeting turns and it's about you. You're like, huh? How did that happen? And then a few more things, and you're like, okay, this is so an example of the universe. But even yesterday, I was mentioning to you how I ran into a couple. We will talk more about Zambale Resort and our experience there. But yesterday, I was trying to do my homework, and I'm in the room, and I'm like, okay, because of the bugs, I better go order my food before it gets dark and those tree frogs start singing. Because I told Sterling, if I can go out after dark by myself, like I'll starve in my room because those darn things are making too much noise. But something said, the gut said, stop right now and go to the bar. And I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. And I meet this couple. And it was so funny that this couple was the same couple that was referenced when we were up in Zimbabwe. So it's just the universe, believe it or not, is so connected. And it's really about sometimes we interrupt our possibilities by questioning things so much. So sometimes your gut is telling you to do something. Now my gut tells me, pick up the phone and call so-and-so. I just do it. I don't even try to figure out why. It's just, if I was guided to do it, then take action and do it. So
absolutely.
I'll close this out, Dr. Theon, because we're right at the 30-minute mark, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, was be short and sweet. So what do you want to tell them that they should be prepared for tomorrow when we jump on together?
You know, we're gonna start you with the money mindset conversation, and be prepared to today. I think I want to leave you with the tip: get a buddy, get an accountability partner, bring somebody to the table with you. Okay, like my buddy right now is Dr. Money. Dr. Money's at the table with me, and we're going to be sharing some things with you every day. It's going to be 4 days, four days a week. We're going to talk. One day on Fridays, we're going to have Q&A. So get your questions and answers ready. You can ask them during the week, but we'll definitely do Q&A on Fridays. And then we'll be off on Saturday, Sunday, and back again on Monday. And be ready. Get yourself an accountability partner so that you can do this together with somebody. Anything else you want to say, Dr. Money?
That's it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I'm just so excited to be able to have this opportunity, this platform with Dr. Theon. So we got this.
Yay! We got this. It's going to be fun. All right. So 8 a.m. Pacific time. That'll be 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Yes. All right. Well, signing off.
See you guys tomorrow morning.
Take care. Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day. I'm a so-called run down to the, next destination. Ha ha ha, run. But there's a bumblebee over here circling around me, so you already know that I am really.
That means it's me. The bee is my totem animal. I left you a butterfly, but the bee is my totem. That's me.
Well, your bee
I'm there.
is over here saying good morning.
Oh, let me see. Who's saying good morning?
Your bumblebee.
Oh, okay, good. That's me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Well, I'll see you in the morning, lady.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.